Dawn's CJ. In the 2004 remake of Dawn of the Dead, survivors trapped in a shopping mall plan a desperate escape by boat. The film was directed by Zack Snyder in his directorial debut and became one of the highest-grossing zombie films of its time. Sarah Polley, Ving Rhames, and Jake Weber starred alongside Michael Kelly in this reimagining of George Romero's classic. CJ, played by Michael Kelly, starts as an antagonistic security guard, but redeems himself in the final moments. Throughout most of the film, CJ clashes with the other survivors over resources and control of the mall. His character arc represents one of the most dramatic transformations in zombie cinema, moving from selfish authority figure to selfless hero. When zombies swarm the docks and threaten to overwhelm the group trying to reach their boat, CJ makes the ultimate choice. He stays behind in a bus loaded with propane tanks and ignites them, creating a massive explosion that annihilates the pursuing horde and gives his friends the opening they need to escape. His sacrifice transforms him from a selfish obstacle into a hero who understood that some prices are worth paying for others' survival. Train's father. In Train to Busan, a South Korean zombie thriller, a father named Seok-woo boards a train with his young daughter, trying to reach safety as a zombie outbreak ravages the country. The film was released in 2016 and became the first Korean film of 2016 to break the audience record of over 10 million theatergoers. Director Yeon Sang-ho created a unique take on the zombie genre that emphasized social commentary and family bonds. Near the film's end, a survivor named Yeon Suk becomes infected and attacks Seok-woo. The character of Yeon Suk serves as the film's human antagonist, representing selfishness and cowardice throughout the journey. His transformation into a zombie creates a poetic justice moment that resonates with audiences. During the struggle, Seok-woo is bitten but manages to kill the zombie. Knowing he'll soon turn, Seok-woo makes one final push to get his daughter and a pregnant woman to safety in the front car of the train. As the infection takes hold, Seok-woo jumps from the moving train, choosing to end his own life rather than risk harming his daughter. His last thoughts are memories of her birth, a beautiful reminder of why his sacrifice mattered. His death ensures his daughter's survival and shows that even in the face of inevitable transformation, love and courage can drive someone to protect what matters most. Legend's hero. In I Am Legend, Robert Neville has spent years alone in a post-apocalyptic New York City, searching for a cure to the virus that turned most of humanity into nocturnal mutants called Darkseekers. The 2007 film stars Will Smith and was based on Richard Matheson's novel of the same name. Director Francis Lawrence crafted a haunting vision of an empty Manhattan where Neville hunts deer through abandoned streets. When Anna and a young boy arrive seeking refuge, Neville finally achieves a breakthrough, creating a cure from his own immune blood. The film explores themes of isolation, hope, and the burden of being humanity's last scientist. Neville's German Shepherd companion Sam dies earlier in the film, leaving him emotionally devastated before Anna's arrival. But the Darkseekers launch a final assault on his laboratory. With no time to escape, Neville gives Anna the cure and tells her to flee through a hidden chute while he confronts the horde. He pulls the pin on a grenade and charges into the creatures, ensuring Anna survives to deliver humanity's salvation. Neville's sacrifice wasn't just about saving two people, it was about saving the entire human race, proving that one person's courage can mean the difference between extinction and hope. Cargo's father. Cargo, set in the Australian outback, follows Andy, an infected father trying to protect his infant daughter Rosie before he turns into a zombie. The 2017 film stars Martin Freeman and was based on a short film of the same name from 2013. The movie uniquely explores Indigenous Australian perspectives on the zombie outbreak through the character of Tumi. The virus gives him 48 hours, and Andy uses every minute to find someone who can care for Rosie after he's gone. The film's timer mechanic creates intense emotional pressure as Andy's symptoms progressively worsen. Freeman's performance captures the desperation of a parent fighting against an inevitable fate. He encounters Thumi, an Aboriginal girl who becomes Rosie's guardian. When Andy's time runs out and he feels the transformation beginning, he straps Rosie to his chest using a makeshift harness that will deliver her safely to Thumi, then walks deep into the wilderness. As the infection fully takes hold, Andy ensures he's far enough away that he can't harm anyone, especially his daughter. He collapses in the wild, alone, but knowing Rosie is safe. Andy's sacrifice is a father's love stretched to its absolute limit. proving that even the inevitability of death can't stop a parent from protecting their child. Bunkers Miguel. In Day of the Dead, survivors shelter in an underground military bunker, while scientists experiment on zombies in hopes of finding a cure or a way to control them. The 1985 film was written and directed by George A. Romero, as the third film in his Dead series. The film features the famous zombie Bub, who displays signs of retained humanity and becomes a pivotal character. Miguel, one of the soldiers, is bitten during a mission and becomes infected. The military and scientific factions in the bunker are at constant odds, creating unbearable psychological tension. Miguel's girlfriend, Sarah, desperately tries to care for him as the infection spreads, adding emotional weight to his deterioration. As the infection spreads and he realizes his fate, Miguel snaps under the psychological pressure of their hopeless situation. In a moment of rage and despair, Miguel opens the bunker gate, allowing hundreds of zombies to flood into the facility. His action is both revenge against those he blames for his infection and a way to end the suffering on his own terms. The zombies pour in, and Miguel is quickly consumed by the horde he unleashed. Though his sacrifice is born of anger rather than altruism, it does force a reckoning within the bunker, and ultimately leads to the escape of the film's survivors, who realize they can't stay in a place where the living are as dangerous as the dead. Miguel's final act proves that sometimes the collapse of a broken system is the only path forward. Resident Evil's Reign. In Resident Evil, a special forces team enters an underground facility called the Hive after a deadly virus outbreak turns the staff into zombies. The 2002 film was based on the popular video game series and launched a franchise that would span multiple sequels. Paul W.S. Anderson directed the film, which introduced Mila Jovovich as the iconic Alice. Rain Ocampo, played by Michelle Rodriguez, is one of the commandos who gets bitten during the mission. Rodriguez brought her signature tough persona to the role, making Rain one of the most memorable characters in the franchise. The film's underground setting creates claustrophobic tension as the team realizes they're trapped with the undead. As the infection progresses, Rain becomes increasingly aggressive and knows she's running out of time. When the survivors are trapped in a train car surrounded by zombies and the facility's defenses closing in, Rain chooses to stay behind. She opens fire on the approaching horde, buying precious seconds for Alice and Matt to escape. Rain continues fighting even as the infection fully takes hold, emptying her weapons into the undead masses. Her last act as a human is ensuring her teammates survive, transforming her final moments from inevitable death into purposeful heroism. By the way, if you're into this type of content, I make videos like this all the time. A subscription would really help me out. The Battery's Ben. In the indie film The Battery, two former baseball players, Ben and Mickey, survive a zombie apocalypse by staying mobile and avoiding settlements. The 2012 independent film was shot on a minimal budget and became a cult favorite for its realistic portrayal of long-term survival. Director Jeremy Gardner also starred as Mickey, bringing authentic chemistry to the film's central relationship. Ben is the pragmatic survivalist, while Mickey clings to hope of finding other survivors. The film explores the psychological toll of endless wandering in a world where safety is an illusion. Their friendship is tested repeatedly as their different philosophies clash over months of isolation. When they encounter a group of hostile survivors who blame them for attracting zombies to their safe zone, a confrontation erupts. Ben, realizing that Mickey has a chance to find acceptance with another group they'd contacted by radio, deliberately provokes the hostile survivors to focus their anger on him. He leads a zombie horde toward himself and the hostile group, creating chaos that allows Mickey to escape in their car. Ben's sacrifice isn't shown as a grand explosion or final stand, but rather as a quiet acceptance that his friend deserves a chance at a real community, even if it costs him everything. Pontypool's Sydney. In Pontypool, a virus spreads through the English language itself, transmitted by specific words that turn people into violent zombies. The 2008 Canadian film was based on the novel Pontypool Changes Everything by Tony Burgess. Director Bruce McDonald created a unique horror experience that takes place almost entirely within a radio station basement. Radio host Grant Mazzy and his producer Sidney Breyer are trapped in a church basement radio station as the infection spreads through their small Canadian town. Stephen McHattie delivers a compelling performance as the cynical shock jock forced to confront an incomprehensible threat. The film's innovative concept makes language itself the enemy, forcing characters to carefully choose every word. When Sydney becomes infected after repeating certain trigger words on air, she realizes she's becoming a danger to Grant. Rather than risk infecting him or allowing the virus to spread further through their broadcast, Sydney locks herself in the soundproof booth. She fights against the infection's urge to speak and attack, deliberately staying isolated even as the transformation overwhelms her. Grant watches helplessly as Sydney sacrifices her chance at survival by refusing to leave the booth, containing the threat she poses. Her final act of self-quarantine saves Grant's life and prevents the virus from spreading further through their radio signal. The Crazies David. In The Crazies, a toxin contaminates a small Iowa town's water supply, turning residents into violent killers. The 2010 film was a remake of George A. Romero's 1973 film of the same name. Director Breck Eisner brought modern production values while maintaining the original's themes of government conspiracy and small-town horror. Sheriff David Dutton leads a group of survivors, including his pregnant wife Judy, through the chaos as the military quarantines the town. Timothy Oliphant and Rhoda Mitchell star as the couple fighting to survive both the infected and the military's brutal containment measures. The film effectively balances zombie horror with political commentary about government overreach and bioweapons. David is exposed to the toxin and begins showing symptoms, becoming increasingly paranoid and aggressive. Realizing he's becoming a threat to Judy and the others, David makes the agonizing choice to separate from the group. He creates a diversion to draw both the infected and military forces away from his wife's escape route, knowing his deteriorating mental state makes him a liability. David's last coherent act is ensuring Judy reaches the evacuation point safely, sacrificing not just his life, but his final moments of sanity to protect the woman he loves and their unborn child. Rex Guillem. In the Spanish horror film Rec, residents and emergency responders become trapped in an apartment building during a rabies-like zombie outbreak. The 2007 found footage film was directed by Jaume Balaguerro and Paco Plaza, and became one of Spain's most successful horror exports. The film spawned multiple sequels and an American remake called Quarantine, released in 2008. Guillem Marimon, one of the firefighters who initially responded to the call, is bitten while trying to help an infected resident. The found footage format creates an immersive sense of panic as the situation deteriorates in real time. Manuela Velasco's performance as the reporter documenting the outbreak anchors the film's escalating terror. As the group attempts to escape the building, Guillem's infection worsens rapidly. When they discover the building has been sealed by authorities, with no one allowed to leave, Guillem realizes he's endangering everyone in the tight corridors. He volunteers to stay behind in a locked apartment, asking the others to barricade him inside before he fully turns. His partner Alex protests, but Guillem insists, knowing that in the narrow hallways and stairwells, even one more zombie could mean everyone's death. Guillem's choice to quarantine himself removes one more threat from the already overwhelming odds the survivors face. 28 Weeks Later's Dawn. In 28 Weeks Later, the sequel to 28 Days Later, Dawn abandons his wife Alice during the initial outbreak, leaving her to die while he escapes. The 2007 film was directed by Juan Carlos Fresnadillo and explored the aftermath of the rage virus outbreak from the first film. Robert Carlyle delivers a haunting performance as a man destroyed by guilt and cowardice. Months later, when he's reunited with his children in a safe zone, Alice is found alive but infected as a carrier. The film explores how the reconstruction of society after the outbreak creates new dangers and ethical dilemmas. Rose Byrne and Jeremy Renner co-star as military personnel trying to maintain order in the quarantine zone. Dawn's guilt over abandoning her drives him to visit her in quarantine, where he kisses her and becomes infected himself. Now a rage-infected zombie, Dawn escapes and begins spreading the virus throughout the safe zone. In his final moments of humanity before full transformation, Dawn manages to lead the initial wave of infected away from the area where his children are hiding, allowing them crucial minutes to flee. Though Dawn's infection dooms thousands, his last shred of paternal instinct redirects his first attacks away from his own kids, giving them a chance he denied their mother. World War Z's Parajumper. In World War Z, former UN investigator Jerry Lane travels the globe searching for the origin of a zombie pandemic. The 2013 film starred Brad Pitt and was based on Max Brooks's novel of the same name. Director Mark Forster created a globe-trotting epic that showed the zombie outbreak from an international perspective. During a crucial mission to a World Health Organization facility in Wales, the plane carrying Jerry and a team of soldiers is infiltrated by a zombie. The film's production was notoriously troubled, with extensive reshoots changing the entire third act. Despite production issues, the movie became a commercial success and showcased innovative, fast-moving zombies. As the infected creature attacks passengers mid-flight, chaos erupts in the cabin. A young Israeli parajumper who had helped Jerry earlier realizes the plane will crash if they can't regain control. She fights the zombie hand-to-hand in the narrow aisle, deliberately drawing its attention away from Jerry and the pilot. During the struggle, she's bitten but continues fighting, pushing the zombie toward the rear of the plane. She screams for Jerry to get to the cockpit as she grapples with the creature, buying him seconds that prove crucial. The plane ultimately crashes, but her sacrifice ensures Jerry survives to continue the mission that could save humanity. If this was worth your time, consider subscribing so you catch every new upload. Thanks for watching.